guys, welcome to this Friday night special. I have two experts in the LFC game tonight. Keith has joined me as usual, the producer of the show, and we have a special superstar from, well, living in Paris. It's Owen from the Cop On podcast. Welcome, my friends.
Thank you very much. Absolute wonder to be here to make my Dave's LFC Chats debut. Long anticipated, long awaited for, and here I am finally, and it's all my dreams come true. Thank you very much, Steve.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Keith,
welcome
to the
show. Pretty much downhill from this, so you've pretty much peaked there. So you're enjoying it. So hope you enjoyed yourself.
That's as good as it gets. Okay. As I say, big game tomorrow, huge game. I think this is huge, this game tomorrow. I really do, for the very fact that it's sandwiched in between two big Champions League ties. But I just think that the fact that it's at Anfield is huge for a fact, because we haven't won at Anfield. What's it, 7 in a row tomorrow if we did lose or we lost? So we need to get back on the bike tomorrow. We really do. We need 3 points tomorrow, guys. I don't know what you guys think, but draws are gone out the window. Draws are gone. Forget about draws. It's just about winning the game. I said 2-1 yesterday on Coppish. I'm sticking to 2-1. But what do you think? We start with Owen. What do you think tomorrow, Owen? Do you think there'll be many changes? Do you think Klopp will pretty much stick with what we got for the Madrid game, or will he have one eye on that, one eye off? What do you think?
He can't possibly stick with what we went with the Madrid game. I know Madrid is like a different league to the likes of Watford and Arsenal Watford, Wolves and Arsenal that we beat before that game. But we're in an awful run of form, and the answer was certainly not the midfield that he picked the other day. Not that they were the only problem in the team, but we had loads of problems against Madrid. I think they had 16 shots to our 7. We had 1 shot on target in the entire game. It was a woeful performance, especially in the first half. But we're going into tomorrow. It's absolutely huge. Any kind of win, a messy win. But for me, one of the first names on the team sheet would be James Milner, because I think we would need his. I don't know what you guys think, because I think we need his ability, his talent, his leadership, etc.
Well, we're going to talk about the team and what you think and blah, blah, blah. But it's just, as I just said earlier, I think it's huge tomorrow. I really do. Draws are gone. Don't dare lose it. But even draws, a draw's as good as a loss tomorrow. We just got to win a Keith. It's a big game, isn't it? I think it's huge tomorrow for the season. It's big for the season.
I think he's got a real dilemma, to be honest with you, with his team for tomorrow. Yeah. Obviously, it's been all sorted out by now, but I think he has to think about throwing Keita back in. I think you're right, Owen. I think Millie is a starter, and then I think he might try and do something. He might try to do something on Tuesday night in terms of a 4-2-3-1 and try and change the system around to cope with Kroos and to cope with Modric in terms of those two dropping deep and how they play. And I think he's going to need Bobby in there to try and disrupt that, right? But I think we need goals, so he has to put in Jota. I'd be really surprised if he really, Keita was thrown under the bus, not for how he played. He didn't play great, but he wasn't the only one who didn't play great. The entire team didn't play great in the first half. The system didn't work. A huge amount of, a huge amount of that team that just didn't operate on Wednesday night. So unfortunately, Keita was the obvious change. He was playing on the right-hand side where he's, better on the left. Probably has to do something that he doesn't normally do. So from that perspective, I think he needs to maybe think about using him again and throwing him back in and say, right, that wasn't your fault. Let's have a look at you again. You've been great in training. I'd be amazed if he doesn't. I think that's him finished with the club if he doesn't play tomorrow, to be honest with you. And then I think you're right. He needs to bring in Millie, and I think he's going to need to start thinking about maybe looking at that 4-2-3-1. We've only played it a few times due to personnel over the season, and anytime we have played it, it hasn't really worked. So, but I think it's a system that might unlock Madrid. So he's got a lot of decisions to make, to be honest with you. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Naby was thrown under the bus a bit too much. Really, the bus driver kept on going back and forward, to be honest, over him. But I mean, for me, if Naby wouldn't have started against Madrid the other night, I think he would have been nailed on to start against Villa. You know what I mean? So whether Klopp changes his mind, I heard Klopp today talking on his press conference saying that he had a good chat with Naby and everything's okay because he took him off. What was the 42nd minute, just before half time? Like he couldn't wait till half time to bring Thiago on. That tells you something there.
They were obviously thinking about that change before the 42nd minute as well, lads. So that decision to make that change was made before the 42nd minute. So by the time Thiago got his shit together and got himself organised and ready to get on the pitch, that decision to take him off was probably made somewhere between the 30th and 35th minute. That's how in the shit we were, you know, and that's how much Klopp was so pissed off that he needed to make some sort of a change, you know, before half time. So yeah, he just fell under the bus in that. But so I'd expect him to play some sort of part. And if you're looking at bringing in Millie and Firmino and Keita and trying to incorporate those three players, you're either taking off, and I think Doug's mentioned it there in the comments, you're either maybe giving Robbo a rest at left back and putting Millie in left back and then do something in midfield, you know, and then look to maybe integrate maybe Jota and Firmino into that. We don't need to do it for that match tomorrow, but maybe to give that system a bit more exposure and a little bit more, I suppose, minutes on the pitch in that type of system.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's got decisions to make, and none of them are easy, to be honest.
I wouldn't play Keita, though. I would not play Keita. I don't think that he should start this game because I think that's too much pressure on him. Because if he does start, then, you know, and he does continue to play badly. I mean, he started one game all season. Do you know that? Against Fulham? Something like that. And he's... and, you know, I saw someone made a compilation, as they do every time he touches the ball, on YouTube, such as the love for Naby Keita, which is great. But, you know, someone made a compilation of his performance for Guinea against Mali. Yeah. And he's very rusty, I think. And he looks exceedingly rusty.
Yeah,
you know, rustier than Clark Griswold's son the other day. But he, I don't know. I wouldn't chuck him out there. It would be too risky for me, you know, for Keita. I would play Milner. I'll see how Fabinho is because he's had a few days. I mean, Tuesday to Saturday is not a bad rest, really, for these guys.
Yeah.
But I'd see how Fabinho is, and then Curtis Jones for me because he's got.
Well, give me your 11. Give me your 11 tomorrow. I don't care about subs, just the 11. Obviously Alisson. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, obviously Alisson. Left back, I would save Robertson for. I still think we've got such an outside chance of both the top four and the Champions League, but I'd save Robertson to go gung ho. So I'm going to play Tsimikas probably.
Possibly.
At left back. Trent at right back. Phillips and Kabak. It's not very good though, is it? As a back four, let's be honest. It's all right, but
it's like a League Cup back four, isn't it?
It is, and it's so sad. You know, the last time we won a game at home. Sorry to digress, but the last time we won a game at home was the 16th of December. We haven't won a game at home since then. It's absolutely dire.
Crazy,
but anyway,
crazy.
So no, I'd see how Robertson is. I'm going to play Robertson just because he's still better than anyone. And midfield, Fabinho, Milner, and Jones. And then a front three, I'd have Jota on the left, Firmino in the middle, and Salah on the right. I wouldn't play Sadio Mane. He definitely needs
rest him.
He needs a massage and a nice lie down, and make him ready for Wednesday. Yeah, which would be
Madrid.
Which would be crazy. Yeah, Madrid.
Yeah. As you said, Owen, you know, Klopp, he doesn't like changing it too much. He doesn't like mixing it up in an important game. And tomorrow is important. Tomorrow is important. To be fair, because if we don't win it, I think it's top four going out the window altogether. We're hanging on by our fingernails here, but tomorrow we need to win to keep those fingernails on the ledge. Keith, what would you do? What's your 11 tomorrow? Similar to Owen's or different?
I'd maybe give Robertson a rest like Owen, but I'd probably put Milner in at left back, to be honest with you, to give us a little bit more. And I think that maybe frees up to have one of potentially having Jones. Listen, I think he could throw Keita back in. Doesn't necessarily mean that I think he should put him back in, by the way. But I think we've seen it in the past just due to player loyalty and pulling him off like that, and then not just the way he thinks, he may give him another chance. I think he has to put Thiago just from a control perspective, and he has to put Fabinho in there would be mine, and then I think right hand side of midfield is up for grabs if he goes 4-3-3. Now he probably will go 4-3-3 and then look to pounce and spring a surprise potentially with a 4-2-3-1 against Madrid next week. He might need to do that. If he does that, I think Firmino can come in at any stage. And again, I think you're right. I don't know whether he'll give Mane a break or maybe he'll throw him back in. It could be Jota, Mane, Salah up front, and the midfield then of maybe Jones. Now, but if he plays, he's going to have to play. He's going to have to think about that right-hand side. He's going to have to think about that fucking right-hand side, right? That right-hand side, Ollie Watkins running against Trent or down that channel, in between Trent and in between Phillips, right, is a fucking recipe for disaster, and it'll happen again. And Villa absolutely moored us the last time, and they're not going to change the way they play, right? Yeah. And we need to fucking talk about Trent, right? And we need to talk about what Trent is good at and what Trent is fucking bad at, right? And he's not aggressive enough for me in that position at this stage of his development. He's brilliant going forward, okay, but at right back he needs help. And he needs help at right centre back, and he needs help at right side of midfield. Yeah. So without Henderson playing there right side of midfield, we have a serious issue there on the right hand side of midfield. Because if we're not pressing to fuck, right, if we're not pressing them off the pitch, if we're not putting them under serious pressure in the middle of the park, as soon as their midfielder gets a head up, the first thing he's going to do is going to fire down that channel, and he's going to continuously fire down that channel, and they will get their reward. And that's exactly what's going to happen again tomorrow, because it's happened every single other week that we play football.
Yeah, what would you do though, Keith? What's the solution? Is it to play Nico Williams, move Trent into midfield? What could you possibly do? Put Milner right back, because he's not the paciest either.
It's not a short term problem. It's not a
long term. But specifically for tomorrow though against Villa. Like, what is there a way that you could stop? How do you stop that threat? Because it's a brilliant point. Like, I totally agree that it's.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I think somebody needs to be disciplined. I think there's enough firepower up the front of the pitch. Like Fabinho's not going to play that role, okay? So and Thiago's not going to play that role, because Thiago will invariably try and impress on the game higher up the pitch, and he gets caught out on numerous occasions, right? It's just his willingness to press on the ball. We have a problem on the right hand side of our team, right? Now. Who do we put in there, and who do we have? I'm going to probably go back on my prediction, and I'd say potentially look at putting Milner in there on the right-hand side of the midfield, purely just to protect that channel, because that's all they're going to do. That is all they're going to do, right? So give him a little bit of protection there on the right-hand side. We don't have the option of centre-back to give him a bit of protection. I know it's not his natural position from Milner's perspective, but maybe throwing him in there at the right-hand side gives Trent a little bit more protection. And you literally just say to Millie, listen, just be mindful of what's going to happen down that side, and then allow the rest of the guys to go and win the match. Thiago should be good enough to pick out a pass. The three boys up front should be good enough. We should be good enough to dominate the ball. We should be good enough to create chances. But unless we start giving Trent, and Phillips down that right hand side some degree of protection, right? It's a recipe for disaster, right? And it's like anything else. They try it 10 times and they get in twice, or as Villa did against us, they just hit it every time. And they got huge amount of joy. And and Madrid, that's what they did.
I think
they played exactly the way they normally played. There was nothing new about how Madrid played the other night. They just dropped deep, Kroos got on the ball, and he pinged it. And that's what Madrid do. They just fucking ping it. They do it every match. There's nothing new there. But we didn't have the personnel in those positions to be able to deal with that. And that's
the problem. The game was won and lost in the midfield. Keith's right. The game was won and lost, the Madrid game, in midfield. And I said it before the game. Obviously, midfield's huge, but our midfield was just too stacked. It was slow. It was actually nervous. Some of the passes in the midfield I've never seen. It reminded me of a US pre-season tour game with no one in the bloody ground. Pass, and no one cares if the pass is wrong or bad. Or the way start of the season, people are rusty, as you said. Rusty is right. That was rusty nails all over the pitch. Tony Kroos was in cruise control of that Madrid midfield, and that was our problem. But I think Milner is a cert. I think Milner is a cert tomorrow, but I think he could play in midfield. I think he's a cert for midfield tomorrow. I really do.
What's interesting, I was just looking at the lineup for the 7-2, And Naby Keita
right?
was on that side trying.
It was the same. It was the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah. So Fabinho, Gini Wijnaldum on the left, and Keita on the right. And I find that interesting because Madrid could have won 6 or 7.
It could have been 5-1.
Do you know what, lads? We're lucky to we're still in that tie, and we're lucky to be still in it. We have a second chance here. You know, I'm not even thinking of the Madrid game. I'm thinking of the Villa game.
Yeah,
but for me, the Villa game, but if we win the Villa game, it gives us so much more confidence going into the Madrid game. It breaks the Anfield hoodoo, which is another big thing. You don't want to get a bad result tomorrow. Even say a draw against a Villa, who are missing Grealish, by the way. It looks like he's out for the rest of the season, which is a big loss for them. They're hot and cold. I've seen them against Fulham. Fulham are 1-0 up against them. And to be fair, Fulham had 2 or 3 chances to make it 2-0. They were all over them. Didn't take them. And then the last 15 minutes got tired. Villa got a lucky goal and won 3-1. They were never 3-1 winners of that game at the weekend. So Villa are there for the taking, guys.
Listen, we said the same thing after Arsenal. You know, we said the same thing going into the Madrid game after Arsenal. You know, that tails were up, fantastic performance, and then, you know, like whatever you can't. I wouldn't even, it's not even going into individual personnel against Madrid. It was a fucking shit show all over the place in the first half. To be honest with you, we couldn't string 2 passes together, and we couldn't string a 5 or 10 yard pass together. You know, so it was an all round fucking shit show. So you know, a win tomorrow doesn't necessarily mean it is a, you know, morale boosting. We go into Tuesday night. Wednesday. Sorry, we have to literally, like, it's a 90-minute game. You don't have to win it in the first 10, 15 minutes. I think the first goal will be crucial on Wednesday night. I think if we get the first goal, I think it'd be interesting to see. And we can get the second goal, by the way, at some time between the 75th and 90th minute when their fucking legs are gone. So we can do that. I think it's all about laying the foundations at that game. Okay, dominate them, get on top of them, have them camped out in their own half. Okay, and then play the game. Get a goal at some stage during the first half, and then we've got the entire second half to get it. And don't get it too soon. But, you know, 75 to 80 to 90th minute, look to push on and get the winner. And their legs will be gone at that stage. There'll be nothing left with them. So it's all about game management for me Wednesday night, and whoever scores the first goal.
Yeah, but I still think tomorrow. By the way, but I still think tomorrow, Keith, lays the foundation for Wednesday night. I know you're saying 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
It'll help.
Like we did it against Spurs, we did it against West Ham, 3-1 away from home. Looked great. Then we got beaten at home. And like that can happen. But realistically, psychologically, it's always important to win a game, break a hoodoo, which is our Anfield hoodoo. And the next game we play is at Anfield in a Champions League second leg, which we need to win by 2 goals, 2-0 to do. I think tomorrow's huge for that very reason. Plus performance. If you can get a performance tomorrow and a result, or even just the results, it's something to bring into the game. And I want to bring as much as is possible and positivity into that game Wednesday night as I can. That starts with Villa tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Eamon Kelly's had a good question. How about a 4-2-3-1 system? Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. Although we tried it a couple of times early in the season, it didn't work. But now that we've got, you know, the front 4, but I mean, presumably in a 4-2-3-1 system, you're playing all of Mane, Jota. I suppose you could play Shaqiri there. That could work, or Jones. Yeah, maybe that would be a good idea. I still think we'll have a problem. But
Bobby.
Yeah, Firmino in the 10.
You're putting Thiago and Fabinho. Thiago and Fabinho in the 2. And then the 3 is Firmino, Mane, Salah, with Jota playing in front of those. That's isn't it? Is he going to experiment tomorrow? Is he going to experiment? No, I don't think he does it tomorrow. I don't think he does it tomorrow. But that's what we're looking at for. That's what we're looking at for Madrid.
But you see, Thiago, when you turn him, that's when he looks weak. Is when he's running back towards our goal. He's a marvelous player, and I love watching the guy. It's an absolute pleasure. But when he's he hasn't got the legs to
when you play the 2 there, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got 2 sitting. By the way, you know, like you've just got it in that position, that period of the ground. So literally, Thiago can play in front of him. He doesn't necessarily need to play just that 2 in front of that. It actually, if Fabinho's good enough, it does actually give him license to go left and to go right and to affect the game and to maybe go a little bit further. All right, he needs to have a degree of discipline, obviously, but he doesn't necessarily need to play as 2 holding in a 4-2-3-1. He can almost be roaming if Fabinho's good enough. He can be roaming.
But if Thiago is on the right, then we've got the same problem as with Naby Keita on the right, and that no one's protecting Trent or the space that Trent leaves when Trent goes up. So as and when the opposition does win the ball, they just attack down that channel and it's wide open. I mean,
but the reason you play then is that you cut off the supply into those balls. So you stop those balls at source, which is what we were very good at over the last 2 seasons, because we pressed like fuck and we got on top of players and we never allowed them that amount of space to get their head up and front. That's when we played with 2 backs. Like the lads never came back that halfway line. You know what I mean? And listen, I know you're comparing Van Dijk and Gomez, to the 2 lads that we have there, but that was that system. The lads were allowed to go forward and to press.
Well, yeah, I agree to an extent, yes, but both Keita and Thiago are ball playing midfielders compared to the muscle of Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Milner.
Even Genie, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's muscle, isn't it? And Genie's been on that side protecting Trent. He's done good jobs in the Champions League on that side as well. And I just think in Klopp's system, okay, there are 2 things that we've been missing this season, or 2 of the list of things we've been missing, is the intensity of the press, because we're just a bit knackered.
Yeah.
But also the muscle, the steel to go with the silk in midfield when we play Thiago or when we play Keita or whoever else.
I seen a program the other day on YouTube. Actually, they were talking about the press, the Gengen press at Dortmund when Klopp was there, and that near the end of his term of his last season, the press gradually died because they were doing double training sessions. He's known for his training sessions and pushing the players. And as you said, soft tissue injuries, all the injuries Liverpool have had as well, cannot be surprising when you think of the pressing we've done in the last, say, 3 seasons. 2 Champions League finals, 1 we won, a league. We should have won the league before the league. We won the Champions League. 3 unbelievable seasons, Owen and Keith. So I think it's an amalgamation of the last 3 seasons is the situation we're in. And that's exactly predictable.
We're going to try and get the very best out of this season we can, okay? And that's pretty much it. Get the very best out of it we can. Yeah. Hopefully it is by hook or by crook, we're in the Champions League next year. And that is probably all we can expect from this season, right? Obviously. And then we see where we are with everybody back fighting fit after a long break in the summer, or hopefully a bit of a break in the summer, right? And then we see where we are next year, right? And that's pretty much all we can kind of do now at this stage. You got to remember as well, though, the season after Klopp left, they won the Bundesliga, didn't they? Dortmund won the Bundesliga the year after he left. So that team...
Did they? I didn't think so.
They did. I think they did.
Owen's on his Twitter.
I'll have
Owen's on his Google.
Hang on.
No, but what I'm saying is, no, they dropped off, though. They're pressed, that Gengen press, winning the ball back every 2 seconds.
It's only natural. It's pretty much
I know it's natural, It's predictable. That's what I'm saying. It's been predicted. And obviously, we'd a few bad... I mean, Van Dijk wasn't injured. Van Dijk was assaulted. Let's be fair here. Gomez was a freak injury. No one was near him on the pitch training him in England. There's 2 or 2 centre halves. Matip's always injured anyway.
Yeah.
There's 3. So, we've had Hendo's had a few injuries. But I see a comment there talking about Fabinho playing in defence against Madrid. We can't miss it now in midfield. I know he was poor the other night, but if we'd Henderson there, you might get away with it. But no Henderson, we need him in midfield. No chance.
Interesting about Dortmund on Wikipedia. They've actually got a whole section, the post-Klopp era.
Whoa, here we go.
It might have been that season, but it was certainly the same personnel, maybe the following season. But basically, it was the same personnel.
The same personnel. They did very, very well. They were actually they had some unlucky draws, according to Wikipedia. I think it's a Dortmund fan who writes it. They finished runner-up. They got the most points for a runner-up in history in the season after Klopp left.
We know what that's like.
And they lost
we know what that's fucking like.
Yes, we do. Yeah, it sucks. And they lost the DFB Pokal final as well to Bayern Munich. So that was a bit of a kicker for them. But no, they did very well, certainly, in the season after Klopp left. But I think this team, we can. I mean, that's the thing, though. I was thinking today, can we really get back, do you guys think, to you know, to the levels, to the 99 and
level.
97.
I think, to be honest, guys, we have been bleeding spoiled rotten. This was different level stuff. This was different bloody levels. We're following Liverpool now, what, 20, 30 years more? I'm giving away my age here, but I mean, this is as good as it's got. The last 2 years, let's be real here. I know you were brilliant in the 80s and stuff, but a lot of people, it was different football in the 80s. I'm on about Sky Sports era, you know, mid-90s, early 90s level. This is as good as it's got. The football, the wins, the trophies, the records. This is Roy Castle's record breakers. And we were getting it for 3 bloody seasons, guys. We were unlucky not to win the league the year we won the Champions League. The season before that, we got beaten in the Champions League final. To be fair, the keeper threw 2 goals into the bloody net. And Jermaine Bale scored an overhead kick from the halfway line, which you'd never see in history. We were unlucky in that. We had a good season that year. Some unbelievable. Yeah. And then the following year, what happened? Record-breaking points. Didn't win the league. Won the Champions League. Following year, dust ourselves off. Win the bloody league for the first time in 30 years. Super Cup. Club World Cup. Wow. I'm out of breath.
But that's the question. I mean, you know, like, because of that, is this season just a mad season? Because it's true, we can't discount the injuries and all the horrible shit that's happened to us and the no fans and all that. But, you know, we can't discount any of that. I don't know. The question is, can we come back? Is this just a season to write off and we've got the mental strength to come back next season, considering that most of our players won't have much of a break because they're international players playing in international.
There's more than one way to win a league, lads. So, you know, like, not every league goes to 99, 100 points or 97 or 100 points. You know, they don't go to that. All right. And you need to just make sure you are competitive year in, year out. Okay. And if you're competitive year in, year out at the top of the league, you will get your fair share of leagues. And United did it for fucking 20 years. They weren't always the best side, but they were there or thereabouts. And if everybody else is shit and you're a little bit shitter than everybody else, you will get a league or get a league line. You just need to make sure you are up there and you're competitive. I honestly think with this group of players, we can still be competitive, okay? A lot depends on what City do. A huge amount depends on what City do. And probably a huge amount depends on whether Guardiola decides to hang around for a little bit longer, whether he moves. So you just need to make sure you're competitive. I think there's a couple of things that need to change. I think the front three, there's a couple of things that really look like they're under stress now at the moment. I think the front three need a good look at in terms of a rebuild. And we probably definitely have to have world-class cover at centre-half to help us out. And we probably need, if we're going to adopt the same type of football. And let's not forget, lads, you know, no matter who we played against, when we're on it in terms of our system, there's nobody who could live with us. And I guarantee you this year, if we had been good enough and we had the same personnel that we had last year, all year, playing the same type of football with a couple of tweaks, we probably would be still be unlivable with, right? So I don't think this entire team is done by any means. It needs tweaks. And I think you do a tweak by tweak season rather than a full rebuild. And I think we'll be there or thereabouts. The big question for me is who's going to be there, and is Klopp going to go past 2024? There's some of the big questions. But I think absolutely everybody, and I'm even talking about, you know, some of the people who are dyed in the wool saying, you know, that team is fine, we're fine, this is a season, are now starting to have a look at it, kind of going, do you know what, lads? It needs some tweaks. It needs some tweaks. I think we need fresh legs in midfield. We definitely need somebody at centre half. And I think the front three need a stronger look at rebuild.
You know, a number 9 who can put the
I think we absolutely need somebody who's going to score goals and lots of goals at number 9. And I think that papers over a huge amount of cracks, you know, in terms of how we play. I don't think it's done by any means, nowhere near it, to be honest with you. But I do think Klopp might need to start looking at his loyalty to certain players and say, you know what, maybe it's time we looked at bringing some fresh blood in there. Yeah. Joshua coming in earlier on the season really kind of seemed to, you know, add some vigor and add some kind of, you know, into the front three. Then he got injured, the whole thing went to shit again. Do you know what I mean? So that's an obvious area that needs attention. And you've got, you know, Jordan's no spring chicken. Genie's probably gone. You know, midfield needs fresh blood. Absolutely needs fresh blood.
I think we need an attacking midfielder, a centre half, and a striker at least, and quality players, not backup Ben Davies type players. I'm talking about players that can actually start the game and you won't bat an eyelid. The question for me is, the front three, you've Mane, the normal front three, taking Jota out, obviously. Mane, I think there's an issue there with Mane. I mean, he needs a rest, but I mean, not even that. I think it's deeper than that, Keith, with Mane. I think it's deeper than just needs a rest.
I think he needs some time away from football. He just needs some time away.
Yeah, I think it's deeper. What do you think, Owen? I mean, he really looks frustrated. He doesn't even look dangerous anymore.
I think he looks really dangerous until he gets into a dangerous area when he's just completely forgotten what to do. Yeah. I don't know. It's very, very strange because it's Sadio Mane. I mean, some of his play, even last week against Arsenal, was unbelievable. But his turns, his twists, his turns, you never know. He doesn't know which way he needs to turn, which way he's gonna go, because he's just he's unpredictable, and he's fast, and he's strong, and he's quick, and he's smart, and he makes brilliant runs, excellent. But as soon as he gets into a danger area, you can almost see him overthinking it.
He's overthinking. Exactly, I'm going to say the exact same thing. He's overthinking everything. He's such a natural, instinct-based player. He just does crazy stuff because his body allows him to do it. But he is overthinking absolutely everything he's doing, and he's afraid to take lads on. And he's going down when he shouldn't be going down, and he's staying up when he should be fucking going down. So, he's overthinking absolutely everything at the moment. And that, to me, says, give him a break.
I'd buy someone on that left side. I mean, Jota can play there, but I instead of buying a number 9, I think Firmino is good enough. I really do. I think he's been overly slated this season. But he's still got a really important job if he's got 2 people next to him who can put them away. And of course, Mo Salah is unbelievable. But on the other side, we've just struggled because Sadio's been off form.
Yeah, but you got to play players back into top of their game before you sell them. You don't be selling them at the bottom of there, so...
I wouldn't sell Mane. I would just buy someone else who can give him a run for his money, which is easier said than done, of course.
Oh, you know the story with the Moneyball concept and the FSG transfer policy, right? Mm-hmm. I've always thought that this summer was always going to be the big summer for Liverpool, the big intention. This was always going to be. It wasn't last year. It probably should have been last year, but it was always going to be this year. That's why I think we'll bring in 3 really quality players and spend a few quid. We need to get rid of a few players, but it's not easy. They're on big wages. But Liverpool, you look at the front 3. I'm not forgetting about Jota because we only signed him. He's not going anywhere. His price is probably doubled anyway. So Mane, Salah, and Firmino. You look at the age structure there, profile. Mm-hmm. FSG are probably looking at Salah. He's our top goal scorer. He hasn't even played well in games, but he still scores goals. You have to look at players and say, right, how much are they worth? It's a business. That's what it is. Salah's the prized asset up front, basically, because just is. Mane, probably second. Bobby, third. Now, Firmino will only fit into certain types of teams, certain structures. Mane fit in anywhere, any top team. So would Salah. So the question is, there's not much money out there. There's only the likes of PSG, as you know, City, possibly Chelsea. United have a few quid, but I'm on about the big spenders out there. There's not many because of COVID, because of everything else. But I think what Liverpool were going to do, originally, they might have changed their mind now. I think they were thinking of selling someone like Salah or Mane this summer, bringing in a young blood striker, someone like Haaland, someone young, but a big money signing, because you're going to get top dollar. Your years, every year that goes, those players' profiles and money comes down. I mean, what age is Salah? What is he, 29, 28, 29?
29, I believe. I'll check it. I've got Google.
28 or 29. So the
don't
longer
get away with any bullshit. You don't get away with any bullshit with Owen. You can't just throw something out there. now.
I do. That's why I asked him.
I've got anti-Google right here.
I thought he was 28. But
you're absolutely right. He's 28. He turns 29 on June the 15th.
Told you.
But anyway, you're great cracking pubs, Owen, aren't you? When somebody just throws out a stat from the back of their arse. Hold on there a minute.
I don't get invited.
So what I'm saying is, I think on their idea was to get rid of one of the front 3 this summer for big money. That mightn't happen now. They might have to stick rather than twist. and with Jota there, bring in a young lad like maybe Paston Daka or someone for maybe 40 million, not the 100 plus million. No, I know you'd love that, and he's a good player for Salzburg, I think, it's RB Salzburg. But I think that was the idea, because the older the player gets, the profile, the money, everything just comes down. But that has changed. So I don't see anybody going anywhere this summer in the front 4, 3, whatever you want to call it. I think they'll bring in Paston Daka. I think that's and Kanate at centre half and an attacking midfielder. Maybe your man Oyer off Leon. You probably know a bit more about this guy off Leon. Something like that. That's what I think they'll do. What do you think?
Well, I've had this thought for years, really, about the transfer market, and to me, how it seems, people don't really talk about it in this. Think of it as, if you think of the transfer market as a pyramid, right? And at the top of the pyramid, you've got maybe 5 or 10 players in world football.
Oh yeah.
Any team in the world who can come into your team and be guaranteed successes. Guaranteed 100%. They'll be brilliant. Mbappe for one, Haaland for one. Players like this who you absolutely world class. Everybody agrees. You know, Lionel Messi, you know, the stratospheric players, right? These are at the top of the pyramid. But then you've got a rung below that, where you have maybe 50 players who can come in and they can be also brilliant and they can be revolutionary. But the price in this second rung down varies wildly.
Yeah.
And this is where you get Paul Pogba, who hasn't really done it, but cost 100 million. And you've got people like N'Golo Kante, who was, 7 million from Caen to Leicester? And he won them the league, basically. Him and Mahrez and Vardy, that triumvirate were unbelievable. Yeah. But, you know, in terms of the quality of the player, and you know, N'Golo Kante is absolutely wonderful. And there are these bargains out there, which is why the FSG model is so good. Because as why it's working so well, it's because you don't need to, like, okay, everybody talks about the glamour signings of Mbappe and Haaland. We talked about it on Cop On recently, and it's really interesting to talk about it. But instead of spending 200 million that it would still take probably to get Mbappe, for example, you could potentially buy 5 40 million players, which would be
40 Jotas.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. 5 Jotas. Yeah. But that's it. I mean, of course, you won't get lucky every time. You won't with this market. I mean, you could say that we've been pitching in this market for a while. I mean, you know, Naby Keita was
60 plus.
Yeah, 50 million, I think, or 60 million
euros. 60
maybe.
With add-ons.
Yeah, wow, and that's you know, and obviously that hasn't worked out as much as we'd liked. But then, you know, on the other hand, Mo Salah's been stratospheric, you know, and but fishing in this market, you can get some absolute beauties if you get 5 of them, which is a lot, and they won't. But if you did potentially spend 200 million and get 5 of them, even if you get 3 of them, if one of them is brilliant, it can have a transformative effect on everything, and it's more sensible.
We've gone big. We've gone big when we've needed to go big on the
Alisson
spine.
And Van Dijk.
Yeah. 2 guarantees. Top of the pyramid
where we've had trouble. Now, if you look going forward, we're probably okay there if everybody comes back. Okay, we're probably okay there and stays fit. Obviously, where we're now struggling is through the spine. Okay, we're gonna struggle at centre mid. Probably not in terms of defensive areas of the pitch, but certainly from an attacking point at parts of the pitch, we are struggling, right? And we're struggling up front, okay? So they're the 2 areas that probably need strengthening, and there are 2 spine parts of the pitch. So we probably need to go relatively big in those areas, all right? Now, the FSG model, when it comes to splashing out lots of cash, has been sell to buy, right? And I'm not too sure what the reserve system is, situation is there. So is the thinking to sell one of the crown jewels, a Mane, a Salah, to then fund players who are there or thereabouts on the pyramid, maybe the second level down, that we can move to the first level from a stratospheric perspective? And we know that Klopp loves those kind of projects. That's the question. My fear, right, is that moves such as Mane and Salah don't happen overnight. They are long. So the likes of the Mbappe situation, he said now he doesn't want to stay anymore. He wants to move on, and Madrid are in the mix. That's been, that deal has been
coming to Liverpool.
It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be it's not going to be a fucking Foilafax in, on a Friday evening. We're going to give you 50 to Mbappe. And
these are 18-month deals. 18 months. You know what I mean?
These things are, and I haven't heard any noise about Salah or Mane. So I don't know whether or not there's anything there, which basically means FSG, if they're going to strengthen those positions, are going to have to put their hand in their pocket, to splash the cash on either a couple of second-tier projects that they think can step up to the grade, and we have a massive, really good track record in terms of being able to do that. That's what we're looking at. Haaland's not coming, and Mbappe's not coming, right?
No,
so who is it? So who is it?
I think Dak is the number one choice out of those.
Yeah.
Look at Liverpool Owen as well. I was just saying, we're like mining prospectors back in the 19th century in America, where they'd pick a spot in a river and they'd be there for hours and years with their pan, looking for nuggets. We've been there for 2 or 3 years, and we have got some nuggets, baby. Now, every now and again, you get a little piece of stone and you fuck it back in. But we've got more nuggets of gold from that river. It won't happen forever, as Keith, as you just said. But I think this summer they're going to have to get their arses up from that river and start walking up towards the bank to extract the gold from the bank, because I think they got to put their hands in the pocket. Checkbook City this summer, but it's not going to be Haaland. I'm sorry to say, it's not going to be Mbappe level, top of the pyramid. Could be second tier though. Could be second tier level.
That would be great. Patson Daka, back on the stats, 23 goals in 19 league games. And I know it's the Austrian league, but anyone who scores 23 goals in 19 league games is worth a punt, especially at age 22. He could be absolutely brilliant. He was great against us. Although
I remember that one,
he was unbelievable, wasn't he? He was like, wow. Superb.
So guys, what do you think tomorrow? We didn't really talk about the front three for tomorrow. Mane, you're defo on Mane. You think Mane should be rested?
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
for me, Jota on the left, Mane on the bench, Jota on the left, Bobby Firmino, because we missed him against Madrid, and of course Mo on the right.
You're similar, Keito. What are you resting Mane tomorrow?
He probably does need a bit of a rest, to be honest with you. I'm not too sure what that does to his psyche. As I said, there's some hard decisions that need to be made tomorrow in terms of the personnel. The question is, do you keep playing Mane and try and play him back into some degree of form, and taking him back out? What does that do to him? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. He rarely rests him if he's fit. Rarely rests him, to be honest with you, because he can be so important to us. I think there's validity in resting him, to be honest with you. I just don't know whether resting him actually cures the problem over a single game. I think he needs more than that, to be honest with you. So I don't know. To be honest with you, I'd probably start him, to be honest with you, and I'd start him with Bobby to get
Salah, the old front three.
I'd probably
go with that.
Jota on the bench.
Yeah, do you know why? I was just about to say that he has made an impact. He's like the old David Fairclough back with Liverpool back in the 70s and 80s. He actually is better from the bench because he just gives us an explosion of a Red Bull six-pack coming onto the pitch. The energy that it just knocks all their defenders for 60. Don't know what the hell's coming on here, Jota, rather than a Bobby coming on or something. It's a bit more nuanced. But Jota, when he came on against Arsenal last week, they didn't know what the hell was hit them. But you have to give him a half an hour. So he's bringing them on last 10 minutes. Yeah. But I think there's a trick up Klopp's sleeve tomorrow. I think he will start Jota just because of that. He gets so much flack. It's whether he starts Mane or not is the question, not Jota.
I think he's more effective. I think he's more effective playing through the middle as well, Jota, to be honest with you, when you bring him on and put him in through the middle than putting him out on the left.
Yeah.
I think he gets into the box more, and I think he gets on the end of stuff rather than coming in from the left and trying to affect stuff. He's actually getting on the end of stuff in the box. So
he does look like a great finisher. He does look like a number 9, sort of, doesn't mess about, just whacks it.
left foot, right foot in his head,
Yeah,
so
which is superb. But no, I like him on the left as well, just because he's tricky. He's got that sort of ghosting, not ghosting pass, but he doesn't have the pace. But it's like he sort of ricochets, a little bit like Suarez. But obviously Suarez was out of this.
What a player he was!
but yeah. But he'd knock it off someone's shins, won't he, Diogo Jota, and go past them that way, which is interesting. But no, I would start Jota. He's the one. The stat we scored 1 first half goal.
Seen that? Oh my god!
In 16 games or 17
Fucking
games,
hell, lads.
and that was Jota in injury time against Wolves.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's so we need to change something. We can't just keep going with the front three, because they're just knackered. Sadio Mane, I get what you're saying, Keith, about you don't want to knock his confidence being a striker, but or being an attacker, but I just think it just might be what he needs. It might motivate him as well, being out of the team.
But as Keith's saying, he's a bit fragile like that psychologically and mentally, isn't he? Whereas you drop him, he might take something else. You know what I mean? That's the only problem with Mane. But we just take away from the football for a second. I don't know whether you know much about it, Owen, or not, or Keith, but the Red Bird takeover was a 10% stake in the club, 532 million. The club's worth 5.3 billion, which makes the club worth 5.3. LeBron James is involved. What do you think? I see loads of stuff about, obviously, the Anfield Road end looks like it's got to go ahead. I think it's 60+ million to get it up to 60,000. That's a big thing for Liverpool as well. There will be money for transfers. I've heard all this. They're going to give them 10, 20 million. There will be money for transfers. There's no doubt about it. There always was going to be, even though we had 120 million shortfall because of the pandemic. But what do you think is the long-term, it's hard to say, strategy for FSG? Do you think it's a long-term strategy, or do you think it's a 2024? Klopp's there, Klopp goes, we're out, get Redbird in and let them take the... What do you think? I know it's hard. Listen, it's all, conjecture. But what's your take?
Well, it's first of all, it's a relief. I mean, let's think about it. I mean, this is an investment that at least secures the club in the short to medium term. I mean, unless we all just blow it all on Mbappe and get relegated next year, But I doubt they would do that. So if you compare, I mean, of course, like you both, like so many people, everybody watching this will probably remember the administration time when we almost went into administration and we just weren't even sure if
two Cowboys.
Yes, of course, yeah, the Cowboys, the villains. They were absolutely, crooks. They were horrible as owners, and to be faced with the actual prospect of Liverpool not existing anymore.
Yeah, administration.
So now, no matter how we spend the money, it's luxury time, isn't it? It's wonderful that we're able to
it'd be interesting to see if the stakeholding goes from over the next couple of years, starts going from 10% to an additional 5% or an additional.
That's what I'm saying. Will it be? I think it is. I think that's the strategy.
Moving like that, well, then obviously they're setting up for control at some stage. So
I think so. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 50-50 thing eventually. They're going to go up to maybe 50%, have 50. Or this 51% thing where if you're 51% of a company, you own it. You're the majority shareholder type of thing. So I'd say maybe a long-term 5-year, 6-year plan to do something like that with LeBron James in there. Now, listen, I don't know, but I'm just saying
Would you play him up front? Would you play
LeBron? Yeah. I'd play him centre half. Put
him in goal. He just needs to stand there. No one.
Handball again. Fuck's sake, LeBron.
Yeah, but no, I just listen. We're going to stay out for the hour. We give it the hour, guys. Another 11, 12 minutes.
But you know what? I might need to drop off, lads, because takeout was okay. So
takeout.
Yeah.
What is Chinese? Was it?
What?
Was it Chinese?
Thai food.
Nice. What would you eat now? What would you eat before you go?
So the two girls are setting up in the bedroom in there, so I need to go in and just kind of show them where all the oils are.
Oh, we don't want to go there now. You can pop off if you want, kid. I'll talk to you maybe tomorrow.
I'm going to pop off, lads. Right? Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Enjoy your tie. Enjoy your tie.
Good luck.
Good luck. Oh
Crikey.
God, that was funny.
Crikey. Okay.
I'll tell you what we'll do, Owen. I'll just ask you. I didn't ask him his prediction, but what's your prediction for tomorrow? For the last 10 minutes, we'll just mix it up. What's your prediction for tomorrow? Goal scorers and result. Scoreline.
Well, since the 16th of December, I predicted a home win for every single game, and we haven't won any of them. So now I'm going to predict.
And we lose.
Yeah, exactly. 7-2 again. 8. No, I don't know.
No.
It's going to be really difficult. Depends. What Klopp goes for, who Klopp goes for, how they're all feeling. Fabinho was so tired against Real Madrid, but hopefully he's coming
burned
back.
Out a bit, isn't he? Burned out a bit.
Yeah, burnout is through the squad. Andy Robbo as well. We haven't talked about him. I mean, too much. I mean, he
hasn't been right. Been right. Who has been right? I mean, Fabinho's probably been our player of the season.
Salah.
To be fair.
Mo Salah's the player of the season.
Well, listen, Mo, as in scoring goals, when you look at his goal scoring ratio per game ratio, we know it's ridiculous, and his assists as well.
Mm-hmm.
But his actual gameplay, I don't know. I mean, he's been up there, obviously. Fabinho, Salah, you could say Jota before he got injured, and when he came straight back from injury, but we needed a full season now with Jota to be saying, you know what you're talking about with Salah.
Yeah.
So Salah for Fabinho for me have been the two outstanding ones.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd go for Mo over Fabinho because I think he's just he's brilliant in a more difficult area of the pitch, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
And you know, he's been double, triple marked as well in most games, but he still managed to come up with it.
No, the reason I'm saying Fabinho is because he's been playing centre half, and to be fair, pretty good. I'd nearly have Fabinho in. I'd have Fabinho in with Van Dijk. When Van Dijk comes back and have Hendo on the midfield, he's that good.
If we had some better cover. That is why I go for a defensive midfielder, you see. Dave, you said it's quite interesting.
Attacking midfielder.
Yeah, you want to get an attacking midfielder.
You want a holding midfielder.
I want at least one, maybe two. I'm thinking, my dream.
I'm not being greedy, I'm not being greedy. I just think they're going to get 3 players. Might get 4. I don't know.
Greedy as all heck. I don't know. I just
Greed
can't get
is
enough.
Good. Greed is good.
Well,
what
no,
film was that?
Not in a Michael Douglas way. Yes, I know that one. Yes.
Greed is good, baby.
No, generally not.
The wolf.
But no, with Bissouma, for example, wonderful player, defensive midfielder, a rock.
Yeah.
Worst player of the season is a good question.
Anfield, that's a good one. I like that.
The worst player of the season, I don't know if we have
6.
to choose.
There's about fucking 6.
I don't know. Naby Keita's pretty good call. I mean,
but he hasn't played. He hasn't even played enough to be the worst.
That's my point.
I don't know. Yeah, how can you? Yeah, you have to have a games ratio here. You can't just play one game, be bad, and say he's the worst fucking player, can you?
No, but the point is that he's never fit. That's the point. I mean, when Matip's fit, for his 15 games a season, he's brilliant. Naby Keita's played 666 minutes. There you go, that's a good number. 666 minutes in the Premier League and Champions League. 10 appearances in the Premier League, 4 appearances in the Champions League. But it's less than 10 games worth. It's only like 7 games worth of football. And here we are in April. And
I say, I remember when we signed Naby Keita when he was playing for Leipzig, and we'd signed him, but he wasn't allowed. The deal was he stays at Leipzig for another season and then comes back. So I was doing like a scouting job on Naby on watching the Bundesliga games, especially that RB Leipzig were involved.
Me too.
Against Dortmund, against Bayern Munich.
He was a dream.
And I don't know about you, but he was nearly man of the match in fucking about 80% of the games. Absolutely. And I was going like this. I can't wait till that boy puts on a red jersey.
And he had never been injured.
He was the missing piece in the jigsaw for me.
Yeah.
But what the hell happened? I know things happen. Players come to different countries, take a while to settle. Injuries don't help, of course. But Jesus Christ, was I wrong?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's a disappointment. I share in it. I was the same. Yeah, like loads of us Liverpool fans, we were just... we were, suddenly interested in the Bundesliga and watching this megastar, the birth of the megastar. Yeah. That's what we thought we were getting at. But I think that was one of the things that contributed to his poor form is the pressure, the pressure he's under to perform. But yeah, injuries. He hasn't had a good run. He's had no goals and no assists this season, and he basically hasn't done anything. Who else is it up there for like the worst player of the season? I don't know. I
don't like talking. Do you know what I don't like talking about? I don't like. I say demoralising Liverpool players because, as Klopp says, it's the family type. You don't like slagging a younger brother type of thing. So I'm not mad about slagging off players. There's
me too.
Yeah,
yes.
There's loads of reasons. There's even reasons in the background. I'm sure nobody know family reasons and other bloody reasons.
That's true.
COVID and everything you can throw at you want in. So I think I think we'll steer the other way on this one. But I'm going to go 2-1 tomorrow. I think Mo Salah will continue his goal scorer in his vein. And I think Jota will get the other one, 2-1. I'll take any type of win tomorrow on. I just think it's so important to get 3 points at Anfield. Break this bloody duck.
I'm going to go 4-2 to Liverpool. I think it's going to be a crazy game.
Wow.
I think Jota's going to score. I think Salah, they can't stop Salah. There's no Grealish, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing to celebrate, and an opposition player getting injured, but he is an unbelievable player for them. And so, we can take advantage of that. Ollie Watkins is bound to score.
He's a good striker. He's a good young striker.
I'd love another one. See, second-tier player.
That's what Brentford. That's what I'm saying. There is little. We're sitting there with our pan beside the river. There is. You go a little bit deeper in the water with that pan. There's little nuggets there. There's nuggets.
They're already formed gold medallions in there.
Pirates of the Caribbean. But I'll tell you what we'll do, Owen, for the last few minutes if you're available to stay on. I like mixing it up about 5-10 minutes. Actually, not even talking about football. I'm going to mix it up and talk about I love 80s and 90s. I don't know about you, but that's the decades I grew up in, especially the 80s. Films, famous films that when you were younger, you just, like the likes of Goonies and stuff for me, those type films. Genre films. What type of film in your early teenage years would be a film that you would revisit and say, wow, nostalgia?
In the early teenagers, well, I mean, when I talk about the 80s, the 90s, when I grew up as well, the Goonies, unbelievable. Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2. The sequel is good too, but the first one, Back to the Future, is a classic. There are a few, really good 80s films that I haven't watched. I don't actually watch that many films anymore. But when I was very young, when I was like 3-4 years old, when I came back from nursery school, apparently we had a VHS of Star Wars, the 1977 Star Wars,
the original,
the series, the original.
I only like the originals. You know that? I only like originals. I'm a Levi's boy. Only originals for me.
Okay, that's good.
Hate remakes. Fucking hate them.
Yeah. Most of them are a bit rubbish. Although Empire Strikes Back is pretty good. But no, I used to watch it every single day, and I used to not speak when I went to school as well. So apparently, my mum was. Told me that I was just quiet. I was like, just didn't realize that I should speak or something.
Do you know what? You see the way I'm speaking, I can't stop speaking. When I was young in school, I wouldn't open my mouth, a bit like you.
Yeah, there you go.
And I hit my head at about 12.
And now look at us. Can't shut us up.
No, shut up. Here's a classic, North Red, Grease. Oh my God.
Oh, good call.
Wow.
Yeah.
But those type of films for me, I to be honest, I was more Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, brilliant.
Oh, yes.
But film, I wasn't a huge movie buff, let's say. I'm more documentaries and sport, and even YouTube documentaries are unbelievable nowadays. Even Netflix, these type of things. But I don't like watching these box sets. I don't know about you. I just don't have time to sit there and watch a box set of a 10 episode type thing. Do you watch that type of stuff? I just don't do it.
Very occasionally. I'm a real snob, Dave. I don't know if you know that about me.
I know that.
99. Yeah, well, you probably guessed. But 99% of all films and series and poetry and music and art is a load of tosh. And only 1% is the stuff that I love, and that's the stuff where I get really.
Look at my
almost
painting
obsessed
behind
about.
my head. Look at that painting I did a few
I
years
can
ago.
just see a little bit. You did that.
Picasso. Yeah, I do. You used to do painting. I'm just lazy.
Fantastic.
But another thing I used to like, Owen, was cartoons. I don't know whether you're a cartoon as a kid. I used to love 80s, especially 80s cartoons. Do you know why? The music, the intros, they were like a bloody orchestra behind them.
Which ones? Rhubarb and Custard I really liked.
No, I didn't like. I like Strawberries and Cream. But
you don't remember Rhubarb and Custard?
I do remember. Of course, I remember Rhubarb. Do you remember Ulysses 31?
Ulysses, of course I remember.
Ulysses. Telemachus, my son. Brilliant. But listen, we're not going to stay on much longer. We've hit the hour. I've really enjoyed this. I'll have to get back onto the podcast with you. I just don't have fucking time, to be fair.
That's it. We're busy people. But David, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for hosting me. It's an absolute pleasure to be talking.
You'll have to come on again. You'll have to come on again.
Thanks to everyone for the comments as well. Some brilliant comments on there. And,
Rocky, Rambo, and E.T. They're three good ones. There's three classics straight away, isn't it?
Great
wow.
ones.
Right, Owen, I think I'll let you go. You're a busy man, and I shall talk to you again. I'll get back onto your podcast as soon as I can, my friend, and I'll have you on here pretty soon if you're available. Okay?
Thanks very much. And
if you want to give yourself a shout out, Cop On Podcast. There's a few people in here. Just say whatever. Cop On Podcast, where you can get it and stuff like that.
Just wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, whatever it's called now. Wherever you get it, just listen to it when you're out walking the dog or the turtle or the weasel or whatever pet you have, or when you're doing the washing up or any kind of thing. Listen to Reds from around the world. Come and get involved. coponpodcast@gmail.com if you want to be a guest. Just get involved. It's just about bringing Liverpool fans together. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, as long as you love Liverpool, to almost quote Boyzone.
Yes, exactly. It is a family. It's an LFC family, worldwide family. You don't have guys on from all over the world. I've been on it a few times. It's absolutely brilliant. Cop On Podcast. Check them out, guys. Description will be down below anyway. Owen, been a pleasure. Keith was on earlier as well. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend. Let's beat Villa tomorrow. I'm going 2-1. I just want to beat them. And that's what it's all about.
Damn right. 4-1.
Cheers. And thanks for the comments, guys. Stay safe. See you tomorrow. Cheers. Bye-bye.